All right, we are just going to wait for confirmation that we are live, and we should be good. Oh, a lot of people in the chat already. I think some people are rolling through. Still not seeing anything on my end though. What's going on, guys? Can you guys hear me, or what is going on here? I think we're live. Are we live, guys? Tell me we're live if we're
We
live.
are.
We are live. Okay, excuse me. My phone was a little slow for some reason. So. Nice. What is going on, guys? It is K-Dub here with a special episode. We are talking to Bitcoin Benny. How's it going?
I'm doing great, mate. Very good. Very good for early in the morning. And yourself?
Yeah, what time is it by you, by the way?
It is, it's 8 o'clock now, 8 in the
Oh,
morning, so it's not too early.
12-hour difference. All right. So, guys, I have to let you know, after today's crazy event, I was just thinking to myself, like, who can I get on the channel? Who can we talk to? Bitcoin Benny has been in this space since the beginning. He has seen multiple crashes. He's gone through it all. So I just figured we'd kind of start out with that, man. Like, what is your ultimate opinion on what's going on right now? Like, straight up. I mean, we had a crazy, I think it was like 20 billion left the market or something like that, maybe more. So
Yeah, like I think, to be honest, like there's no experts. We all sort of hope that we can understand what's going to happen next and what we think is going to go on. And I think obviously every time people see the market dip, we think to ourselves, this is going to be hell, and we are going to lose everything we've got. And then you've got other people saying, hey, buy the dip, go around and scoop up everything that you can. But ultimately speaking, I look more for the fact that there are so many big players coming into the market and into the space, and we're seeing people every day you open up the news, you're seeing news on money being invested by big corporations. And one thing we know for sure is that it's not easy to get money out of corporations. So if you're a real world corp and you're spending 300 million, it's not like you just run an ICO and get 300 million. You've got to go to a board of directors. You've got to go to people who do not part with money easily. You've got to give them a convincing long-term plan on why you need 300 million. So when institutional money is spending that type of money on infrastructure and on investments in technology, they are obviously convinced that they're going to get that money back, because they just will not spend that money otherwise.
exactly, man. And, you know, you've been around it for quite some time, so you see this and you see what these guys are doing. You did stock market trading for 20 plus years. And when did you first get into crypto exactly? Pretty early on, right?
Well, yeah. With the stock markets, it's different, because in Australia, when we're young, we get into we have this thing called the stock market or share market game. So we actually at economics at school, we all have a portfolio of stocks, and we get a certain amount of money, and if you win, you get computers for your school and stuff like that. But yeah, when I first heard about crypto some time back, there was I thought it was a criminal activity, to be honest, because
Well, kind of
we
was
knew
a
a
little
guy who
bit
was
back in the day. It kind of was.
we knew, yeah, we knew a guy, and I can't remember the exact details, but we knew a guy who was mining, and he was like he got into heaps of trouble, and we thought, this is bad, like why is he in trouble? But he was actually I think he was jacking electricity to be able to actually mine. So it wasn't anything to do with the actual fact that he was mining Bitcoin. But there was a lot of bad rumors going around, and there was a lot of bad information going around. And I think to be honest, as you would know, I think only the last couple of years is it sort of, because it moved sideways for a very, very, very long time. And I think that only the last couple of years has it sort of got a bit of flavor, and we've seen people start giving it mainstream media and mainstream press. So what I firmly believe is that what these people like, the Satoshis and the Hal Finneys and the guys that, well, probably same person, got into it in the beginning, those guys would be thinking to themselves, it's a completely different world. This is not comparable. And right now, if you look at right now, where are we? Where are we going? This is unlike anything we've seen before. So pulling out charts and triangles and trends and all the rest of it's not going to help. All we've got to look at is how much infrastructure there is being built, how much money is coming in, and we've just got to chill out, relax a little bit, and understand that that's the way it is.
And what are you seeing
So
on your...
you can't freak out.
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you, what are you seeing on your end? Because you're currently in Vietnam, right? That's where you are right now?
Yep.
So, and
Yep.
but you're also
Yeah.
you're in the Philippines a lot, and you also go to a lot of these
Yep.
Eastern conferences. So, like, what is the sentiment
Yep.
out over there? I mean, how are these guys taking the markets? What are you seeing with these different dev teams and even just investors and institutions? How are they perceiving the markets?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. Well, I think that what we're seeing here is that you've got that divide because you've got a lot of scammy type of ICOs, but on the same token, the governments are all very much pro blockchain. They're quite a lot of them are against crypto, but they're for blockchain. So even here in the Vietnam, the governments have got blockchain research companies set up that are actually got 200 people sitting in a room researching the tech, what's happening, what people are building. They take it really, really seriously. And if there's a turnout over here, heaps of people go. But you've got that combination of speculators versus people that are actually believing in the tech. But I can tell you in Vietnam, for example, the talent of people coming through, the engineers and the people studying crypto, it's huge. They are very, very talented. And I think this part of the world is where it probably stands to be the most attractive and to gain the most traction because there's a lot of unbanked people and there's a lot of people that could benefit from the actual blockchain. So what I see here is I'm in the right place, right time. I wouldn't be anywhere else.
Yeah, there is that disconnect. I say that a lot on my channel between the Western perception of crypto and blockchain tech and the Eastern perception of it. You know, because out here in the West, a lot of us don't really see the need for that money right away. You know, we're using US dollars. Great. Right. You know, unless there's a financial collapse or something like that, then we might. Over here, it's just speculation. I mean, realistically, most people on the channel, if you're from the US, you're probably just trying to make a flip, make a quick buck. You know, a lot of people are getting in to just try to make some money. I mean, yes, I'm not saying there's not people in it for the tech, but I'm saying like where you are. Well, for people who don't know, I actually got a chance to meet you when I went out to the Block Nation event in the Philippines. Komodo was there, and you know, we had an opportunity to meet. So I saw things very differently out there. It was a very different perspective on this whole situation. Like the way that they look at the need for the tech is a completely different way than we do over here. So
yeah. Look, I think to be honest, like you know, you live in a country where you've got like Silicon Valley and you've had the whole .com boom and you've got your country is used to these types of waves of technology coming in. And to be honest, there's a lot of people that sort of probably stand to lose out if these types of things take off. Whereas in Asia, they didn't really, they've got the benefit, obviously, the long-term benefit of the .com boom and all the rest of it. But ultimately speaking, these guys are thirsty and hungry to be part of the next big thing. And America got that .com boom, and we talk about, I've heard blockchain and space race comparisons. I mean, Russia and China and these types of countries are really making sure that they're out this time and that they're at the forefront, and lots of cool stuff coming out of Russia, lots of cool stuff coming out of China. And this whole region is really just berserk, going absolutely manic.
Yeah,
I can see that a lot of people are.
You got the chat going on.
To do right now.
Just so you guys know, Benny's looking at the chat too.
It.
So if you have any questions you want to ask, just put them in the chat, and Benny's going to see them as well. So he'll answer any of your questions that you have. I know one of the big questions people were asking when we first started was, what do you think about this whole, Bitcoin Cash war? Do you think this is what's causing the price? I mean, there's also an eerie similarity between this time last year and there was this like crazy dip last year that happened right around the same time too. Yeah. So there's those conspiracies. What do you think is going on right now? You think it's a whole bunch of FUD?
Well, let me tell you, I reckon it was even earlier last year. There was, you remember China? They said China's finished, banned crypto, it's all over. I was scooping up as much Chinese coins as I possibly can and buying the Chinese market, and everyone was saying to me, "You're mad. We're going to zero. Bitcoin and crypto's over because China owns all of the hash power and all the rest of it. We're dead." And to be honest, I was saying, "No, we're not. This is going to take off. This is going to boom." And I was literally worried. I was really worried. I was thinking to myself, "What am I doing? I've gone in too heavy. I've gone in too hard. This is going to end disastrously." And I kept looking for the positive signs and hoping that all the sentiment was wrong. And in time, we know what happened. But the market went crazy. But right now, I don't see this as something like, I'm not seeing this as being as a big issue at all. I think this is, it is,
you're just brushing it off. Everyone else is freaking out and you're just like, this is nothing. It's
because you know why? There's nothing that you can do by worrying about it. If you're in, you're in. If you're out, you're out. Now, if you're in it just to get a flip and to make a huge amount of money, you'd be a bit worried right now. But if you believe in the technology and you see this as a long-term play, then you need to understand we're a baby learning to walk. This is just getting started. You can't just freak out and run away and cry and think this is you've lost everything. You lose when you sell. But ultimately, there's a lot of people that have paid a lot more than they have in their accounts at the moment, and we've had problems with tax.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it is in the States, but a lot of people have been made
taxes
to pay
in the
more
States.
than they've got.
It's so confusing. Yeah. It's so confusing. Like, there's so many stipulations of, like, you have to get taxed on every little thing that you do. To be completely honest, and I don't even care that I'm saying this publicly, listen, I just stay in crypto. So, like, people literally don't believe me. I just stay in crypto. So I don't even deal with the taxes. I if I have to bring a little bit out just to pay for something in cash, maybe. But for the most part, if I can use crypto, I use crypto. So that's how I do it. So don't ask me about taxes. I don't know anything about that. That's not my thing. So
yeah, but you just made an awesome point. You just said when you have to take a little bit out to pay for something that you do, you see that's a perfect thing to just remind yourself of and remind your viewers of. If you're thinking to yourself, I don't want to take this out and use this because it's going to be too valuable, shows how much faith and shows how much value you see in the longer term for this space. And people need to be reminded of that. People need to remember why they got in, why they think the long-term vision is strong, and not to actually freak out too much. I mean, this is we've all seen this in every single market in the history of market cycles. So let's just say this: if it was going to crash to nothing, it does it at lightning and warp speed. That's how every market in history has crashed. It hasn't gone sideways for 6 months and consolidated and then bobbled around. It doesn't happen.
I want to flip this on its head because I was watching a video that you put out a few weeks ago, or it was a week ago, a few weeks ago. I don't remember what it was. And you made this crazy prediction, right? So all of this is happening, and you said, this is your words, you said Bitcoin is going to be 25K by June, or else you're going to do something.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. I said I'd eat what anybody told me to eat, and I'll do it on a live stream.
Well,
I'll choose one thing.
You had 4 suggestions on there. Are those the only ones we can pick from, or is it open game?
No, I'll do it. I mean, we saw these McAfee predictions and all the rest of it, and I thought to myself, you know what? If there's this much money going into the space and there's this much money in infrastructure, right? Like I keep saying, JP Morgan Chase doesn't wake up and say, let's buy $3 billion worth of Dogecoin. This thing's going to the moon. They wake up and they say, let's build exchanges so that we can make money out of people trading, and let's build the infrastructure that will help the payments settle, and let's build this and let's build that. They're investing in the technology. Those guys will not tolerate, and all of that money will not tolerate this market going to zero. They'll do whatever they possibly can to make sure that there's money coming in, that there's people coming in, that there's easier ways to onboard. And I firmly believe that the price will go up based on the fact that I'll tell you what the honest truth is. It's still too hard to get into crypto. And these companies know how to make onboarding for any product or any service easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's a lot of projects.
They're going to make it easy.
Yeah, there's a lot of projects that are doing that as well. One, for example, I don't know if you've looked at even just like Monarch Wallet, what they're doing. I mean, they're trying to get all these things set up, even with like reoccurring payments. They'll do the transfer for you, so you can hold your crypto, and then it's kind of like a payment thing. So if people aren't ready to accept crypto, it'll just instantly convert to fiat if that's what they want, or it'll pay in crypto. So you can do what I'm doing, just stay in crypto. And for the people that have yet to catch up on the adoption, boom, they'll get the instant transfer to fiat. Or the people that are in crypto, they can get it converted in whatever they want. I'm seeing a lot of stuff like that. Yeah, as well. So there's all these different things.
That's a smart play though, mate. What you've just made a really good point. And the thing is that we if you're in crypto and you think, oh gosh, the market's going to crash, we've said go to Tether. Tether's not real. Is it backed by something? Do they have enough money?
Tether's backed by dollars, but what are dollars backed by? So really the argument, you know what I'm saying? Like dollars really aren't backed by anything. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, but the thing is that they're going to make it easier to be able to move in and out of the market. Now, you might think that, well, that's a disadvantage because people will jump off and they won't be stuck and they won't stay. But ultimately speaking, they're going to make it easy to get in, easy to get out, and that gives people a level of comfort that they know that they can switch quickly between markets and all the rest of it. So although I don't necessarily believe all these comments that, a huge influx is going to come in if the stock market starts to crash, I do think that the ability to be able to flip between markets and currencies and all the rest of it is something that's very, very attractive.
Mm-hmm. Gandhi in the chat actually asked earlier, what do you think will be that main adoption? What do you think is that catalyst that we're missing personally?
I think, like as far as adoption is concerned, we need something to come out that's actually we have to use, something that becomes part of everybody's daily life. I mean, you've got what are the actual things that you need and use in your daily life besides food and water? I mean, your mobile phone. Some people don't even have laptops anymore. There's very few things that we actually use that we absolutely 100% need. So I think that we have to have something that's attached to the blockchain, or the blockchain attached to one of those things that we use on a daily basis. But ultimately speaking, we're too early because the tech is just evolving and it's just sort of getting started. And people aren't building really, really high-end quality things on the end of the tech yet. I mean, it's just starting to happen, but we're not seeing stuff that makes you go, wow, I have to have that. That's a game changer. At the moment, we're sort of seeing people say, yeah, it's okay, it's good.
What do you think about kind of like sliding the blockchain tech in there, like without them kind of knowing about it? Like, I don't know if you saw Omise go, they partnered with Tada, a taxi company, right? So these people, they're just getting in a taxi. They're just paying with dollars or whatever, but they don't realize that that's actually all being verified on a blockchain, or even like gaming, non-fungible tokens. I mean, those are things like you don't even realize you're using it, but you're using crypto. I mean, is that kind of like what you mean by that, or?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I talk about it like I use these things like Map My Walk when I go walking every day to measure how far I've walked and all the rest of it. Now, ultimately speaking, you can easily slip blockchain technology into that so that I've got a permanent, immutable record of how far I walked and what my exercise routine was. Whereas in this day and age, if I change mobile phones, I probably have to re-download the app. I lose it. I have to sync everything. I don't have my data. So, I mean, you could easily reverse stuff into stuff that exists, but what we're trying to do at the moment is build stuff that looks like crap on top of the tech that's not yet ready, and say, look at this. This is a game changer. We're better off to do the reverse and to build blockchain into what we currently already have.
Well, that's the problem with a lot of these ICOs that happened last year. Everybody's like, oh, ICOs are scams. They're all they're not all scams. It's just the problem is these guys you're putting the carriage ahead of the horse here. I mean, you don't even have the infrastructure really the way that we need it to be user friendly, and you're building dApps on top of something. I mean, look at Augur, right? How long did it take Augur to come out? The prediction market, right? What did it have? 250 users the first day, and now it has an average of what, like 1 to 20 users per day? Can you imagine an app on the Apple iStore or on Google where it's only got an average of 20 users a day? That thing would get delisted tomorrow. I mean, they wouldn't even list an app like that.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, I mean, if you looked at it, look, they delayed it. I think it was not close to a year, so they could, in their words, they could nail the user experience, and it's horrible. I mean, it looks terrible. And the thing is that everybody had such high hopes for what they were doing. In my mind, you're better off to just be able to integrate that technology into something that already exists, rather than trying to reinvent the wheel. Like, take baby steps and put things that already exist on the blockchain, rather than trying to build it the other way out and say, no one's, like, if you're going to build an online marketplace, is it going to be better than Amazon? Because if it's not better than Amazon, Amazon can just come into blockchain and say, you're finished. See you later. So
they already have their Amazon Web Services. I mean, it's not that hard to just, they already have it. They can expand on that, you know? So instead of trying to like compete against the big boys on tech that's not quite 100%,
there in most cases, you're better off to take these little baby steps and transition slowly and prove that the tech works and it can work in real world application.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Are there, I don't want to like turn this into like a, shill fest, haha, very funny, but I mean, seriously, like, are there any projects that you have been looking at that you think are, that we should be looking at, or something that you got your eyes on? Because I know right now, the one thing that I noticed was going to these conferences and stuff like that, like the guys that are actually there are the builders. Like, people, I keep seeing biddle. It's like build, but they're like the hodl thing. But I mean, in all sincerity, like there's such a difference between consensus and now. It's a totally different experience going to these conferences now. You're not having these guys in suits and ties come up trying to get allocations and stuff like that. Now it's like you go there and you're actually meeting either enthusiasts or developers, and they've definitely been working hardcore. So there are a few projects that I've been looking at as well, but I'm gonna let you start. What are you interested in? And we all know you're with Komodo, so I like Komodo as well.
Yeah,
but I mean, some other projects though,
Yeah. Obviously, I'm with Komodo because I like what they're doing with it from the tech side of things, and I think as a platform, it's brilliant. But as far as other projects are concerned, like to be honest, I look more at the ones that have sort of survived a while and have been able to sort of manage money and still be able to produce lots of GitHub updates, and they're showing progress. I'm much more dubious of the new projects, and the reason I'm much more dubious of them is because it's tougher now. They would have raised when potentially the market had higher value, which means they're sitting on less cash than they were if they didn't cash out at the time, and they're going to find it harder to be able to build out what they wanted to build out, especially at the level of quality needed. So I go back to a lot of those old school types of projects, and that might be a little bit old fashioned in the view. But again, if you look at things like Decred, where you've got like guys from the original blockchain developers that have come across, and it's a lot of community based stuff, and there's a lot of consensus, and there's a lot of I love that the romantic side of me loves projects like that because they're robust and they're driven by their communities, and they're only as strong as their communities. But honestly speaking, I'm staying away from a lot of the new projects until they've got runs on the board. I think we're moving from speculation stage into building stage, and there's to be honest, I think there's a big shift right now, and we've got to be careful and mindful of what we invest in, and we've got to be mindful that is it a long-term hold or is it a quick flip? That's much more important than it was a year ago, because a year ago you could have anything to make money.
Yeah, but, I think a lot of
that's a very broad answer.
Yeah, I mean,
I was going to say that was a broad answer, but give it to you.
I was saying that was a pretty safe answer. You didn't like name anything. You just kind of gave a generalization. So I'll let it go this time. But the thing that I noticed, like,
I want to hear you.
Oh, I look at so many projects, forget about it. Like, I mean, because I'm in the news, I do the news like every day, so I'm always getting these updates on different types of projects and stuff like that. I mean, for me personally, I'd say like the projects lately that I've been most excited for have been either projects that I know, to be honest with you, like almost like reverse ICO, like projects that already have an established business or they already have something, and now they're just creating an open source side of what they already have, So for example, a lot of people know I really like what Ergo is doing because they already have Blocko. I've already seen this a lot in the chat. I think Quant Network is definitely one of my favorites because I'm huge on interoperability. I really think that moving forward, if everyone's going to have all these different blockchains, like, yeah, it's all fun when we're on Ethereum, but once you start doing main nets and all these other things, you literally actually like section yourself off from everyone. It's so, in one sense, people are like, yeah, the main net, but then it's kind of like, oh, but now like we're all alone and we can't communicate. So I think Quant will help in that area as well. And then, like I said, the blockchain gaming things, I'm pretty pumped about all these different gaming platforms. Like Wax has been doing really well lately, and stuff like that.
Yeah, look, to be honest, I got into Quant at ICO, and I was lucky because I got whitelisted, and then a lot of people pulled out and didn't buy what they said they were going to buy, so I was able to scoop up more. But it looked a bit hairy when it first launched, because I think it was launched at about a quarter of the ICO price. So, But now it's going well. But to your point, I will say I think gaming is definitely going to play a huge role in adoption. Going back to your earlier point, and gambling. Because both of those have sticky user bases. I mean, if you look at the intense amount of hours that people spend playing these online games and gaming, it's a huge part of people's lives. And I think gambling's also has sticky user bases because people are going in there, they're addicted to playing poker and roulette and all the rest of it. So ultimately speaking, they generally are two industries that have high and sticky users. So I think you're right. I think those types of coins and those types of blockchains will be the ones that get the much more speedy adoption. And I think 100%. I've built a business around trying to sort of find those early gaming and gambling projects, and I think exactly right.
I did an interview with JL777 for the newsletter that we have out. It was like the main feature
Yeah,
of the first actual newsletter. And that was a
yeah.
question I asked him. I said, what do you think is going to be something to really push this forward? And he literally just was like, blockchain games, just games. That was all he said. He
Of
was just
course.
like games. That's
Yep,
all he said. And I was like,
of
wow,
course.
like,
Yeah. That
so
dude's like seriously a switched on guy who understands stuff. He's been in the space for a long time. He's a master coder. And I tell you what, if when he was first talking to me about that, I was very much sort of, yeah, I can see it, but I sort of, yeah, need to be more convinced. And the more that I've been involved and the more that I've worked with people like Komodo, I turn around and think to myself, it's true. It's definitely going to be gaming. Definitely going to be gambling. 100%.
yeah, I mean, if you look at DApp Radar right now, and they're showing you like the most active games right now are like these like kind of like Ponzi pyramid gambling type things, where like you try to whatever. I don't know. I've never played them, but something like the pot gets full and whatnot. So also real quick, guys, just to let you know, I've been trying to comment on the chat right now, and every time I go to comment,
Yep.
it's not letting me type. It keeps giving me an error message.
Right.
So if I'm not responding to you guys in the chat, I've tried twice. It's not working. So I just want to let everybody know I'm not ignoring you. I can still see what you're writing. Kind of
Yeah.
just side
I
note on
can
that.
see a lot of I can see a lot of different cool questions. Yeah.
You know what's
I
something
think.
I wanted to kind of discuss too. I mean, obviously you are a part of Komodo. There's clearly something about Komodo that you saw that really drew you to it, and I do like Komodo too. I try to follow you guys. Sometimes the updates are a little complicated, a little complex, but you guys are always
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
hard for the average person to usually understand. But I had an
Yeah.
opportunity to
For sure.
sit down with Steve as well. And the one thing that we were really
Yeah.
going over with Komodo is like a lot of people really like we kind of like got into all these buzzwords, right? Like scalability and
Yeah.
transactions per second and all this other stuff. But what you don't
Yeah.
realize is that we already have the infrastructure for scalability. Like you can literally just put chains on chains, and that can be done right now.
Yep.
So I mean,
Yep.
the thing
Yep.
is like, all right, does every chain need Visa and MasterCard transactions? No. If you're going to use a blockchain
Yeah.
and we're going to really expand into the future, you got mom and pop shops, right? Or like an insurance company.
Yep.
How many claims are you really like transacting per second? Maybe 5? If you got like a
Yeah.
huge multinational corporation. So, if I'm like mom and pop store, right? And I got like let's say like a deli. How many sandwiches am I really making, right? So I think that the thing is if you even push up to that level, like how many on Komodo right now? Just curious.
Well, actually, it's being mentioned in the chat a lot here right now. The AWS, the people are obviously reading that on the website and all the rest of it. I won't give away too much because it'll be sort of talked about very shortly. But with AWS, we will be officially proving and recording the 1 million transactions a second.
Right, but the
So
thing
it'll
is like
be
it's not all on the one chain. That's how you're able
no,
to.
no, no. This is yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Because you can basically scale to however many servers that you want to put together, you can build. But that's the beautiful thing about something like, as you said, it's complex. Komodo's complex, but the easiest way to think about it is that we're at the stage of writing in C code and C++ so that people can actually take this, they can be language agnostic and they can attach whatever they want to a chain. Like you say, some people want Visa, some people want something else. It can do everything providing you can pick up that code and you can build on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think people expect rocket ships to come out, shiny rocket ships, but ultimately speaking, it's a base layer for building whatever you want to build on and to be agnostic. So at the moment, I mean, you would have seen 10,000 transactions a second thrown around from us and all the rest of it, but we can honestly do whatever we have to scale or the amount of servers, and as long as we've scaled up with those servers, we can do a pretty much infinite amount of transactions per second. But we're going for the million officially very, very soon. Now, what you need that for, I don't know what you need a million transactions for, but it's a proof that this is one of those things that is capable of doing whatever you need it to do when you need it. So yeah.
Well, that was like even one of the issues with the whole, I reported in the news this morning with the whole Bitcoin Cash thing. You had the lead developer of ABC, Amaury Sachet, and he was basically saying like, okay, yeah, we have 32 megabyte blocks now. We're not filling them, and the stress tests are they're not even getting up to that point regardless. So the problem is that they were saying is that this whole thing that's happening with Satoshi's vision, which is Craig Wright's coin, is essentially if you're just going to up the block size, but you're not upgrading the software, you're basically going to open yourself up to more attacks because you're increasing the surface area for attacks. And that's something that people don't realize. I understand like, yeah, let's rush. We can do this. Let's make it bigger. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But you're actually hurting it.
Yeah.
So I really think that sometimes people got to, they got to take a step back and realize that everybody wants the technology today or yesterday, right? And things take time. I mean, we could go into the whole .com, Google, Amazon, we could talk about what it looked like in 1995, working out of a garage. But in reality, these things do take time, and crypto's a very, very fast-paced space. I mean, look at what happened today. Look at what happened to the market cap.
Yeah,
matter of hours.
I think that's what people want to probably hear and talk about as well. And I mean, I think that this whole Bitcoin Cash fork and the battle and the fighting and all the rest of it is it's massive and it's disruptive and it moves hash power around, and people have a battle of which one's going to survive and which one's going to win out. And then futures open, and we saw that SV was I think $80 or something like that a few days ago, and then it went up to 289, and then ABC was like $504, and then it went down to less than SV, and now there's memes being made and all this stuff. And I think to myself, this is not what the space is all about. The space should be about what's best for adoption, best for the technology.
Whoa, hold on. Did you just say the space is not about memes? I may have to correct you on that one. I think memes are necessary. I don't know if I'd be able to get through some of these days without the memes. But
yeah, I'm not saying that they're not funny and they're not good, but what I'm saying is that sometimes we focus on the wrong things, don't we? And I think it's because the people don't understand what the right things are and what we should be focusing on.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And you know what actually bothered me a little bit today too? I think about, we're getting around that Thanksgiving time in America, Christmas time again. Everyone's going to be coming back. We're all going to be sitting at home with our families. And, inevitably the Bitcoin conversation is going to come up. And then, maybe your family members look into it and then they see these two guys up there fighting like a bunch of children. And it's like, oh, no, I'm good on that. And that's my problem. Like, I just think for, a respected professor and all these other people in the space. I mean, I don't know these people personally, but I can't deny what I see with my own eyes, and some of it is freaking embarrassing. Like I don't want to be associated with this stuff. Like, no, that's not what I'm here,
I think, like I've said on a couple of videos, and just the level of immaturity in the space and people attacking each other just shows you that we're just nowhere near mass adoption. If I buy BHP and you buy shares in, I don't know, Tesla, I don't say, you're stupid, you buy Tesla, you should be buying I mean, that just doesn't, in the stock market, people go, how's your stocks going? Are they doing okay? Are you up? Are you down? No one says that you're like retarded or stupid for buying a particular crypto. I mean, it's weird.
Oh, forget it. Crypto is so just like my coin's better than your coin, and it's just like, it's like, guys, we need to stick together here. We're not exactly like the biggest majority in the world. Like, why are we fighting each other? Like, don't let these guys let us tear this apart. Listen, if you want to use Bitcoin Cash to transact, go ahead. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with any coin. I have no problem with any coin. Whatever coin you like, that's what you like, man. Some people like chocolate. Some people like vanilla. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? But inevitably, the tribalism comes out. So I don't know. It's tough. And maybe I was thinking maybe we were just bored. Maybe the markets were just so flat we just got bored and just started fighting each other. I have no idea.
Well, there's some truth in that. I think that when people are down, they look for people to blame. So they start saying, "Oh, well, your coin's crap, mine." And it's like in anything. I mean, it's like a religion for most of us. And if people attack your religion, you'll defend it. And I think that for a lot of people in this space, it feels like a personal attack if someone goes against the EOS army or the Tron army or something like that. But ultimately speaking, it's hard to defend yourself for being in this space when you've got people out there carrying on like 2-year-olds.
Yeah. I mean, when I first got in the space, I used to get really offended too, and I still kind of do a little bit. Like if I like a project and like some people start hating on it and they don't like see why I like it, I used to get offended, and now I just understand that we have different opinions. And plus, a lot of people, sometimes you fall in love with a coin. Like you'll buy a coin, right? And it'll pump, and you just love that coin now. You don't know why.
Oh yeah.
You
Oh
invested, it
yeah.
pumped, you love it. And now you're just like in it, you know? And I've been there before. Like I've had coins that like I've just held, you know, cuz I felt like I owed it to them, you know? And now I don't feel that way anymore. Like I tell people like guys, if you're losing money, you know, do what you got to do. Put it into a stable coin,
Yeah.
you know, go back up to Bitcoin if you have to. You know, guys, no one is holding you accountable for, you know, what you do with your money. I mean, the greatest projects in the world. I mean, Ethereum went from 1,350 down. Now I'm sure we're below 200. Actually, I don't know. Can you guys pull it up right now? Is XRP still in second place? Because it was right before we started. It had actually did the flip. Is it still number two?
See, there you go, mate. That's the type of thing you go to say to people, hey, guess what? Ripple's just overtaken Ethereum. And people from the real world are going to say to you, what the hell are you talking about? What's a flippening? That's a made up word.
It is, but
But
so
that's
is
just how this
hodl,
world
and
is.
so is every other word we make up in
Yeah.
crypto. So that's another thing
Yeah.
too. You're talking about
I,
just getting involved in crypto as far as the tech. Forget about it. Once you get the tech, then you got to figure out the lingo. Like there's still stuff like on Reddit. Occasionally, I'll see like acronyms for stuff, and I still don't know what the hell it even means. And I'm like, well, I can't be the one asking because people come to my channel for the news. But I'm like, does anybody know what OP stands for? Like, what do they mean? Like, I don't know. So there's so many things, you know.
I'd never really seen TLDR, too long don't read, and I'd never seen SMH, shaking my head. I'd never seen half of these things, and I was like, what does this mean? And then you go on to the internet and Google it, and there'd be like 500 options, and you think, well, which one is it? What does it actually stand for? It's a whole new world. And I think, oh, here you go. Someone's just saying Ripple's number three at the moment. So
Oh, it did move. It
obviously
moved back
Ethereum's
to three
fine.
because it was two just before the stream. But what do you also think about
Yeah.
even like people that get in, right? Like say like you set up your
Yeah.
Coinbase account and you're ready, but now you look at your Coinbase account and you have Bitcoin, but then you also have Bitcoin Cash, you have Ethereum, but then you also have Ethereum Classic. You know, and God knows what's going to happen after this Bitcoin Cash fork. I mean, do you think that that confuses people too? Like this constant usage of the name? I mean, can you imagine like, you know, Komodo Cash, Komodo Light, Komodo Diamond? I mean, don't you think that would get kind of
Yeah.
crazy after a while? It's just like, why don't you guys just pick a new
Yeah.
name? Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's like having US dollar and then US light and US coin dollar and US shrapnel and
exactly.
US. I mean, Jesus, it's very confusing. And then then there's the history behind stuff. Like when I say to people, original Ethereum is Ethereum Classic, people say to me, "No, you got it around the wrong way. Ethereum Classic was a fork," and then you sort of think, "I can't even be bothered." That you remember that Satoshi quote where he says, "If you don't get it or you don't understand it, I haven't got time to explain it to you." You sort of think to yourself, it is so confusing. It's hard to explain, and even if you've got a logical and a good explanation, it sounds bad because there's no way to explain Monero, Monero Lite, Monero Original, Monero Crazy, Monero Meme. I mean, you can't explain that. Why do we have them? I don't know. The answer is I just don't know why we have any of them.
I know, and there's so many that people just spin them off on the side, and unfortunately, people that are in it, they really think they're legit. You know, like even with Neo, there was Neo Gold, and then I saw Neo Super that came out as well, and people are like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah.
Neo's forking Neo Super." I'm like, guys, please don't buy that. Just please don't buy that. Don't. You know, if you want to hold whatever, maybe the price will go up for like a quick little minute. You know, the excitement, but don't. You know, I definitely do not give away your private keys because I see some of these guys. They were doing that with
Oh yeah, crazy.
the Bitcoin Gold scam. Remember when Bitcoin Gold came out? And
Yeah,
there
yeah,
was that
yeah.
wallet that was floating around, and because at the time there wasn't a wallet really that people were using, so they were like, yeah, just like enter your Bitcoin private key, send your stuff here. That should have been a warning sign, right? They stole so much Bitcoin. It was insane, you know, and no one knows where these guys are.
Yeah.
So, you know, now they have your Bitcoin and they have your Bitcoin gold. So they got both forks on that. So never give anyone your private keys. Like seriously.
I think it's really really difficult on what to tell people to be like when people come into the space and they're asking for advice. The hardest part is telling people how to actually keep safe. You've got to
Mm-hmm.
spend 2 hours on how to just keep safe, and then doesn't matter how long you've been in the space for. You get all these things like you put TeamViewer on your computer, or you put something on your one of your devices, and you find out that the thing's spying on you, or that they're scraping passwords or whatever, and you think, what can you do? So I think people that have been in the space for a while know that you've got to like buy a separate computer. Don't download any apps. Don't use it for any other purpose than trading. Try and do all of your trades as best you can through a cold wallet and stay offline. But the thing is that if you're telling people that they can't trade online, and they have to trade through cold wallets, and you have to do this. People say, well, this sounds too scary for me. Ring me back when I can press something on my mobile phone and it works and I don't have to worry
But
about
I think
people
we
trying to
have
steal
to
my
do
money.
that. We have to do that.
Mm,
Because people,
mm,
look at how simple it is. You take your credit card, you put it in, you wait, thing beeps, take it out,
yeah,
you're done. Nobody wants to go through all this. Why? You know, I mean, yeah, maybe when the price is
yeah,
booming, it's like, okay, cool. Like, Bitcoin's going to the moon right now. I'll buy some. I'll figure this out. But if it's just chilling and there's no real incentive and everything's fine and dandy and my Snapchat's working great, my banking account's working great, what's my incentive to figure out this crazy, complicated crap? You know, to get involved in this, you know, and unfortunately the thing is most people don't actually respect their own privacy the way that they should be. You know, I have two sisters and, you know, they don't care about their data. They don't care who's stealing their stuff. You know, I mean, yeah, they might care if like a picture gets leaked or something, which, you know, whatever, but they don't care who is advertising to them based off their interest. They just want to post pictures at the beach with their friends, you know? And I think that like you said, it's not so much of being just as good. Unfortunately, we have the very difficult task of actually being better. Because if we're just as good, well, if it's just as good, I like the app I'm already using. Why should I switch? But if it actually is better experience, and safer, cheaper, faster, more secure, then you really have something. But we haven't really seen too many of those, in my opinion. I mean, what is there a dApp that you use on a daily basis
no,
that you're like, yeah, this is hands
no,
down better than a centralized app?
no. And the thing that I screen for are different than a lot of the things that are being built. Like, as I say, being an expat and working overseas for many years, for me, it was all about how I could get money to my bank accounts wherever I was quickly and cheaply and not have to wait 2 days and pay huge amounts of fees and all the rest of it. So for me, the things that I want, as far as dApps are concerned, are not necessarily the sole focus or a focus for what people are actually building. But for me, I want to be able to have, like, for example, a phone that doesn't need a SIM card so that wherever I travel around the world, I don't have to worry about all this roaming crap and buying new SIM cards and how much am I paying for data and all the rest of it. I want someone to sort that sort of stuff out. I want someone to sort out a bank card that I don't have to worry about, you know, what dollars am I converting to and from and all the rest of it. And I know there's people working on those crypto cards now and crypto.com and a few have those, but they're still working through fiat systems. But the things that I would want don't exist. And the things that I really think I need in my life as an expat and a traveller don't yet exist. But if they did, I would use them freely. But the thing we've got to understand with early adoption of new tech, they want to compete against existing industries so they can gain money and work out how much they're going to be worth. I want them to do things where there are no industries and solve problems that have existed for a long time, but it's hard to raise money for that.
I mean, realistically speaking, like we all want to live in a utopia, but I mean, is it really ever going to be 100% decentralized? I mean, I've kind of come to terms with the fact that I'm not sure. I'm not sure, man. Like some people will fight me on that, and I'm not taking either sides, man, but think about that. Full decentralization. Do you see it as possible?
I'll tell you what. Well, let me tell you an interesting 2-second story. When I was a kid and growing up with a mum who was religious and a dad who wasn't, he would always say, you know, the Bible was in place before police to govern and rule people through fear and all the rest of it. We've still got police to this day and age. We've still got law enforcement. We've still got all of these types of governing bodies. And I think people love the idea and the romantic notion of decentralization, but they also like to know that if they've got a problem or they need help, that there's people there that can help and support them. So I think a combination of both. Like, let me choose who I trade with, let me choose who I want to buy from, and let me choose who I want to do my trades with. But if they go pear-shaped or something goes wrong, I don't want to tell you who I am, use some identifier, but help me get that out. Help me get my money back. But I don't want you knowing.
Right. Well, do you think people are really ready for that responsibility? I mean, like, yeah,
No.
maybe you are, Benny, but the majority, I mean, look at even the Bancor hack, right? That happened. And, you know, people were so pissed at them. They were like, oh, you lied. You're not decentralized. You have a freeze function. You can freeze accounts. You could do this. Right. But the people that got their money that was getting hacked and it got returned to them, I'm sure they're happy that somebody had a freeze button, right? So it's a double-edged sword here, man, because it sounds good on paper, but like most people are not capable of the responsibility of actually holding their private keys and keeping their own funds safe. They're not.
It's just so true. That is so true. And the other thing you got to think about as well is that you think about this. true decentralization would mean that I can do what I want with you and I can choose how to do that, and it would be free and the infrastructure would be built. But a corporation who's built that, or a project that's built that, needs to make some sort of money. So therefore, if I am putting tabs on the transactions and I'm taking a fee and all the rest of it, there's a general level of interest for me to be able to make as much money out of that as possible, which automatically brings in some form of centralization. And governments don't want to do away with money and taxes and controlling what people spend. So it is a battle. It is a battle.
You want to hear some interesting stuff? I don't know if you know this. I have to deal with it every day because I'm actually from New York, so we kind of feel the same pain. We apparently aren't allowed to do anything in New York because even on like my Coinbase app, I don't have basic attention token. I don't have 0x. They know my IP address. So if I go to use Exodus Wallet, I'm not allowed to do instant transfers. I'm completely censored from Shapeshift. I can't use that. And just recently, IDEX is now banning people based on their IP. Now, I know we can use VPNs. I get it. I'm not trying to say it's not possible. I'm just trying to say that why should I have to use a VPN when 49 other states can do it, but I can't because of some bit license crap? Like I don't get it.
I mean, to be honest, I can't understand how regulated America is and how they've locked down on crypto and all the rest of it. And I understand that there's a lot of uncertainties and all the rest of that. And I don't mind that they're actually doing a lot of what they're doing. But to say that it's to protect the people and all the rest of it is just, to me, that seems, I don't know, I mean, what's your view? You live there. But when people say to me, it's to protect the people and to protect the citizens, I think to myself, you've never cared about protecting citizens.
Yeah, right. Except I can legally, take a 45-minute drive down to Yonkers, put my entire life savings, on black, right, and lose it all in the casino, and that's totally fine. They have no issues with that. But I can't buy crypto, certain cryptos, and I can't.
In a lot of states, you can drive down to a designated place, buy a massive bag of dope, and go and gamble all your money away and all the rest of it, but you can't connect to a particular server because it's not good for you, and you should be taking better care of yourself. Now, I think I just don't think anything adds up yet, and I think that they're not sure how it's going to work out and how it's going to take off, and I think people are trying to slow the adoption. It's in their best interest to make sure that adoption is slowed.
You're saying like conspiracy, like where you think there's people behind this?
No. No, what I'm saying is I think that, for example, banks and Ripple, and you look at all this type of stuff, banks can use that and they can actually say that they can transact faster and cheaper and all the rest of it. But there's a lot of things out there that would sort of challenge what has existed for a long period of time and look to replace that. And I think it's in the people's best interest to sort of lobby against that, make sure that you get rid of the people that are trying to change the system and lose money. And I mean, people from JP Morgan Chase and all the rest of it don't change their conventional system and invest a lot of money in something else if they don't think they can then make money out of that themselves as well, or it's going that direction. So those are all things that should make us very confident in the fact that the industry has a long life ahead of it.
Yeah. No, it is true. I mean, it is always in their interest. The rich want to get richer, and if there's some new awesome tech, even if it's world changing, but they can capitalize on it, they can make $1 off of it, or they can somehow get involved. Like one of the things that we were talking about, this was kind of a big topic of conversation last week, and also actually, believe it or not, when I was at Vegas, this was another big topic, was the OTC buying and the fact that people really didn't realize what's really going on behind the scenes of all these guys that have been buying. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this dump that we saw was just guys that have been secretly accumulating at like 6, 6, 6, 5, 6, 4. And then they were like, okay, I think we have enough. Let's dump it. Panic sell. And we're going to buy back in again. OTC. Right. And these guys could do this all day. So
actually, it's been talked about a lot because you see a lot of people talking about big orders for like 100,000 or 200,000 Bitcoins. And there's no wallets that hold those types of amounts that are freely moving money around. So you have to accumulate from a number of different miners, and it's a full-scale production, and it's hard to get, and people want different prices for it and all the rest of it. But ultimately speaking, it doesn't take a huge amount of money in a market that's only worth 180 billion to be able to go onto particular exchanges and completely manipulate the price.
Well, the market
So I
cap's
think
a
you
lie
can,
anyway. Most people don't understand that.
yeah,
Like, there's no way everyone
yeah,
could cash out all at once. It's impossible because it's just based
yeah.
on price and supply. So,
Well, I think I read the other day again that about $20 billion has been invested in the industry in total. So $20 billion makes up that 180. As far as you've got, because a lot of it was came from nothing. A lot of it came from mining, and a lot of it came from projects that generated value through trading and speculation. And then you had the ICO boom over the last year and a half or so, and that had I think 14, 15 plus $billion go into the market, and so that sort of propped the market up and put a lot of money into the market. But yeah, so I read that there was 20 billion
yeah, it's definitely
dollars
a lot
behind
lower
or
than.
actually gone in.
We have two questions back to back that both are talking about banks, and I'm interested. So we have Freedom Chief saying,
Mm-hmm.
"Do you think all these big banks will give up their centralized power?" And then you also have Max VRE, whatever. You know who else can do this all day? Banks. They can print money to infinity and buy Bitcoin to infinity and sell Bitcoin to infinity. How do you feel about that? Banks printing money, even with Tether, these guys printing money, and then do you like why would a bank want to give up
Yeah,
their power? Right? I mean, why?
well, that's so true. I mean, ultimately speaking, that central, like a central bank printing money. And I read that in Australia, and if you look around the whole world, like most of these countries can only cash out 3 to 8%. So if everybody wants their money at the same time, it's panic stations because we don't actually have as much money as we say we have.
Oh, in the banks
So
themselves, you mean?
yeah, they can't
Yeah,
pay out
yeah,
more than
no, I've
three to five
actually
percent.
yeah, no, not to cut you off. I've actually spoken to like friends and that work for banks and stuff, and they're like, at most we have
Mm.
10%. Like at
Yeah,
most
I
we
mean
have
most
10%. So
you can look that stuff up. Different countries have different percentages, and it's all relatively easy to research. But some of them are between 3 and 8%. They can't pay out, and they just keep printing money non-stop. So people that turn around and say this crypto is not backed by anything, and people just keep printing money and all the rest of it is kind of funny in a way. But I don't think we heard the question about centralized banks will give up power. Why would they? They're going to fight hammer and tong to try and make sure that they hold on to every last remnants of profit that they possibly can, for sure, 100%. I think it's going to be a real struggle to get that power from them.
how long do you think? Now you've gone through what is this? I mean, you've been through how many bear markets? 3? 2?
Well, yeah, probably 3. Yeah,
So
there's depends what you call them. I mean, there's a lot of this sideways stuff and movement as well. But yeah, I've been through a few that have scared the hell out of me, and I think that honestly speaking, we've had more money come into the markets over the last. What were we at the beginning of last year? I think we were 36 billion or something, and now we're 200. We went to 830.
I
We were
know.
830 billion this year.
Like that
When
was
you
the
have a
weird
dip
thing.
of
That
that
was the weird
magnitude,
part. Yeah.
yeah, when you've got $3 and you go down to $2, you think to yourself, "Holy crap, that's not good." But when you've got like $800 billion and you go down to 200, you sort of think to yourself, "Well, this is epic panic because you've got lots and lots and lots of people invested now, so you've got more voices and you've got more people telling you that it's doom and gloom, and you've got more." In the beginning days, I can't imagine what it would have been like back in the beginning of the gold rush or the beginning of like tulip mania or dot-com boom. There's small amounts of voices, and these guys would have been 5, 6, 7 people sitting in a room at a table saying, "I reckon this is going to be big. This is going to take off."
Oh my
As soon as
God.
you get like a bit of adoption and people start saying the sky's falling in, it's really, really, really
You know what
it's
was a
really
little
weird.
upsetting
And
too?
look,
You know what was a little upsetting about the
yeah,
sell off this morning? I was looking at like the volume and there was a lot of
yeah,
volume. So that basically tells me that people were panic selling. Cuz sometimes if you see like a big spike and there's not a lot of volume, you're like, "Oh, that's manipulation. That's like a few hands kind of doing something." I mean, the volume was through the roof today, and that's what I don't get. Like people are still panic selling. Like after all this time, like they don't realize
sure,
that
for sure.
it's a trickle down effect. These guys, they have their stop losses and the neck gets set. They freak out. Guys come in. I see my coin and you're selling for a loss. Like I'm down 15+% on some of my favorite cryptos right now. And I'm not selling because I understand that
Yeah,
I own the tokens. I own those. You know what I'm saying? Like you didn't lose
mm,
tokens. You lost dollar value, which sucks on the surface. But like if you sell now, you're the one that lost. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a paper loss essentially is what like my dad would say. So if you keep it, if you hold it.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I just sort of think to myself like, don't look at your portfolio at the moment. Try not to. I've been relatively quiet. I've been making sure that I work hard on making sure that you're looking at where it's going next and making sure that you're there when it happens. And I mean, I think we've definitely moved from this whole speculation stage, and we're moving into the building stage, and we're moving into the more sort of, okay, now it's time to produce and show that the tech works and build on the tech. I think we're still a long, long way away from mass adoption, but there's definitely been a shift through the cycles for sure. And I think that I'm worrying less about, the speculation and are we going to get a 10% pump tomorrow? Are we going to get a 10% dump? I'm thinking much more about the who's building what, and is it going to last, and is it going to be able to compete, and where are we headed with this? I think the market's completely changed now.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, like, even like, thanks to everybody that came out tonight and everyone in the chat, but I definitely see a lot of the same faces. I mean, I do see some newer faces, which is cool because that means there's more people, in my opinion, that are coming to the space. But, I've seen a lot of people stick this out. So there are believers in it. There are people that want to be here because they actually want to be here. I saw all those crazy moon boys and they kind of faded. They're not really around anymore. And it's actually nice. It's nice because now we're actually having real engaging conversations. We're sitting down, we're talking about tech, we're talking about innovation, and we're being a little more realistic about it. And it's very pleasurable, I'd say, actually, now. Like, I'm actually looking forward to when things pick up again because I love the core of the people that are in it now. Like, and everyone that is in it right now, definitely freaking, man, you guys deserve it. Like, you guys freaking deserve it when it happens, which we don't know when that'll be, but.
Oh, look. Yeah, look, I think you're 100% correct, and I think anybody who stuck it out, good on you. And anybody who tells you that they know exactly what's going to happen next, I think is full of crap. And you've said it, and other people have said it as well. If you throw enough projections out there, some of them will stick. Some of them will make you get, they'll hang you out to dry. But ultimately speaking, no one knows 100% what's going to happen. All we can say is that we believe, that we think it's going to. Have a future, and we're the ones that have put our money where our mouths are, haven't we? We're invested, we believe. So kudos to us, and if it goes the way we think it's going to go, we're going to be very happy.
Benny, you can ask my girlfriend how much money I have in my bank account. It's a joke. It's just enough to get by. Yeah. By the way, Crypto Zozo, shout out. I saw you said what up. I was got to say what up to Zozo. So, but yeah, I mean, as far as that goes, dude, I'm in it. I mean, if you don't believe me, I don't care. I really don't care what anybody believes. I'm telling you, I'm all crypto. I've been all crypto. I have seen my portfolio go to a massive number, which I probably could have just called it a day then. I probably could have just walked away, but I didn't, and I held, Of course, I tried to mitigate my losses, but what are you going to do, man? It happens over time. So, listen, I'm in, guys. So, if however bad you think it is, I mean, I have a house. I have a mortgage that I have to pay, okay? So, and I'm making it work, like you gotta, I make trades still. And you know what? Like we were joking before with a live stream, about, like shit coins and stuff like that. And, I mean, I would never talk about it on the channel because the problem is if I promote something or I talk about something, people are going to buy it. And then the problem is that they're not going to know when to sell it. So I try to stay away from, shit coins, but I trade them in the background. Because I need to make money, sure. So I have to. But I'm not going to put it on my channel because inevitably, like I said, someone's going to buy it. It's going to pump. They're not going to sell, and then all of a sudden I'm a scammer. So I try to keep the quality projects on the channel. But yeah, man, I mean, you got to do what you got to do, And getting back to what we said earlier, it's okay if you got to pull your money out or do whatever. It's not like Vitalik Buterin's not going to like come to your house and be like, "How dare you sell ETH?" If you got to do what you got to do, man. So.
At the end of the day, you do what you do to make money, and you have to do it. You have to etch out a living, and you have to like trade and get your way to the point where you can make yourself some money for sure. But there's a lot of people who are in it. They've bought it, they lock it away, they forget about it. They come back 3-4 years and check on it versus the people that day trade, and then there's a combination of both. But ultimately speaking, you've just got to try and have a look at what people are building, what's technology, and like you say, I'll buy some of those shitcoins that have good tech teams behind them, for example, that I think are going to build something real world, and you just take your chances with a lot of those. But you know that it's a game of roulette for a lot of them, and you can't do the research that you want to do in the early stages. But to the early people go the spoils, and you just have to take those risks sometimes.
Yeah, it's tough, and it like you said, the time to take the risk is like when it doesn't look appealing, when it's not sexy, when no one's talking about it, and when you're like, damn. This market cap is like 5 million. I don't know if I should do this. This is pretty risky, but I believe in it, and you go for it. And sometimes, you get lucky, sometimes you don't. But what are you going to do? It's crypto, man. So, Yeah, I mean, Benny, we've been
Thanks.
going.
Oh, I see Ruben Yap from Zcoins in here. That's a very good project. Hey, Ruben.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
Zcoin.
a lot of
I saw Ruben from Zcoin. Where is he in the chat? I don't
yeah.
see it.
He's just up there, just a little tiny bit up there.
Oh,
He's a
well,
lovely guy.
yeah, as far as Zcoin, I saw what they just did with the blockchain voting over in
The election.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
pretty cool. It was like over 140,000 votes or something like that, all on the
Yeah, I
blockchain,
think 100.
right? Something number like
Yeah,
that.
around 127. Yeah, unbelievable. So I mean, there's some projects doing some real good stuff out there, and unfortunately, I mean, if it was a bull market, we'd be seeing certain projects absolutely fly. But unfortunately, in these markets, no matter what announcement you bring out, it's not going to make much of a difference. It's a matter of just making sure that you're grinding away, building good stuff that actually works and has a purpose, and then seeing if you can actually get through and survive.
Absolutely, man. So Benny, I mean,
Yep.
we usually go for like an hour on these things. I know we could go all night.
Yep.
I actually haven't had dinner.
Yeah,
yet.
sure.
I haven't had dinner yet, man. I mean, listen, I would love to do this, dude. Honestly, this was so cool. I'm really glad that I reached out and you were like, yeah, man. And I was thinking to myself, like, what can we do on a freaking day like today? And I was like, I'm gonna get a guy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a guy that was in stocks. He's been through dips. He's been through bear markets. He's been back in the early mining days, and he's seen the ICO explosion. And I just want to say, man, thank you so much for coming back to the channel. And honestly, not just for the viewers,
Welcome, mate.
but for me too. Like, believe it or not, dude. I sometimes need to be reminded as well. Believe it or not, guys. And it really helps to talk to a guy like you. I really appreciate it, man. It helps to clarify and reaffirm my beliefs, so I don't think I'm crazy.
Yeah, look, mate, I thank you for having me on, and I think that honestly, you've done an extremely good job. You keep you guys up to date, and for those people who watch either of us, I can say this to you: what Crypto Zombie does, as far as like bringing out daily content, is not easy, guys. It's not easy at all. It takes a lot of work to set up, to get the information, to research. It's hard to find good and solid information, and to be honest, I can't do what he does. He does it every single day, so. You can tune in and watch the daily news and get the updates. It's extremely difficult work. I can't do it. I can't keep up with that pace. So, mate, thank you for people like you that actually keep us informed of what's going on, because it saves us a lot of time and energy.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I really do, honestly. And yeah, it is a lot of work, but I every day, like when I put that video out, it's so satisfying. It really is, man, because now we're kind of getting on this topic. I know I got to go, but the thing is like before I got into crypto, I felt like I didn't have a rapid fire news kind of thing, right? Because a lot of people are working day jobs. They're out there working 50, 60 hours a week, some of these guys. And I was that guy, and I just felt like I could never get an up-to-date news source. Like I'd have to always go home, 10 hours in crypto, 10 hours. Look what just happened in 10 hours in crypto today.
Yeah, crazy.
So
like a lifetime in regular world.
Absolutely, man. So Benny, dude, you are welcome back on the channel anytime you want. Thank you so much, sir. Everybody that came out. Absolutely. Thank you, dude. It was an awesome night. I think we really turned a shitty day into something pretty positive, man. So thank you so much. Thank you to everybody that came out. You guys are freaking awesome. If you haven't subscribed to Benny's channel, go check him out. He's real cool. OG. He's out in the East. He's always getting the connections over there. So yeah, that's basically it, guys. So until next time, my name is K-Dub. Stay crypto. And peace out till next time.